Wasabi guys, and welcome back to another Commander video. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It does help us out here. 31,000, thank you so much. We're going to talk about the best of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. We're going to be talking about all of the new strategies that are introduced, new mechanics, some returning ones as well. You're going to see a little bit of everything in this set. That's kind of what I like about certain sets, like Ikoria. They were all over the place. I know that's not everybody's taste, but with this set, we're getting what we've been asking for a long time. If you're a fan of shrines, if you're a fan of ninjutsu, maybe not everything, maybe not perfect, but I think this set is creative. You see some brand new things that we've never seen before, and that also totally applies to the adjacent Commander product that will be releasing alongside Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So let's start it out here with something brand new, never seen before, equipment creatures. This would make equipment actually a creature type now, which is pretty funny. So if you wanted to play something like Morophon the Boundless, you could choose equipment. I don't think this is going to be a powerful strategy, but it is something brand new. It is something that we would likely see in future sets because it's a changing of a creature type. Just like when we first got dinosaurs all the way back in Ixalan, we got dinosaurs in following sets. Unless it's just specifically for this higher tech civilization in Kamigawa. I think a better comparison honestly would be the vehicles from Kaladesh. Some of us probably thought they would just stay on Kaladesh, but then we got them in almost every other set since. Instead of equipping to creatures in the usual way, what you do is you pay this cost called reconfigure, which means that you would pay that to attach it to a creature, and then you would pay to unattach it so that it could become a creature again. It's almost like if you took Bestow, where you would have creatures that could be auras. I was wondering for a long time when they were going to experiment with that in other ways, and instead of bringing back Bestow, well, here you have it in equipment form. None of these are over the top. They're just pretty cool, like Cloudsteel Kirin. Equipped creature has flying, and you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. Blade of the Oni makes a creature a 5/5 with menace, also makes it a demon, and the reality chip is probably the coolest one because it could also be a commander. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and as long as it's attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. I'm a big fan of that ability. I think that's pretty cool, and you'll notice as we continue, I don't think that there are a lot of strong equipment creatures, and I don't know how long it's going to take before this actually becomes a strategy where you could build around it in Commander, but the ones we've received here look decent enough to include in other equipment strategies. My personal favorite out of the whole bunch would have to be Lizard Blades because it's a double strike creature. You can reconfigure and give double strike to another creature. It just looks really cool too. Leech Gauntlet gives lifelink. Ogrehead Helm allows you to sacrifice it or the creature it's attached to, so you get to discard your hand and then draw 3 cards. That's pretty cool. And we have some commons and uncommons. Believe it or not, I think we only have like one green equipment creature, but as I've said before, none of these are over the top. I would say they're probably going to have a bigger impact in Standard. I remember Bestow being pretty strong in Standard back around Theros and Born of the Gods. Why would this be any different? Another new thing, well, it's not really a new concept because we've had this before in cycling. We have lands that have activated abilities where you get to discard them, and this time it's with Channel. So Channel says you pay a certain amount of mana and then you discard the land to get an ability. You get 1 legendary land here for each color, and I think they're pretty solid. Some are certainly better than others. A Ganjo Seed of the Empire says it deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and by the way, they all have this condition where that cost is 1 less for each legendary creature you control, so it could just cost you 1 white to do that, but I don't really think that ability is that strong. If you are playing mono white, I mean, it's not like these come into play tapped, so they are probably worth playing. Otawara Soaring City is a channel cost of 4. You return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Same condition as before for the cost reduction. And then Takenuma Abandoned Mire says you mill 3 cards and then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. I do like that one. I do like that for mill strategies as well. Sukinzan Crucible of Defiance says create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens, and they gain haste until end of turn. And probably my favorite, probably the one that I think a lot of people are going to be using, is Boseiju Who Endures. This one says you destroy a target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land in opponent controls, and then that player may search their library for a land card with a basic land type and then put it onto the battlefield. I think that is great. Just having that on a land, the flexibility of destroying non-basic lands, and the fact that it does not come into play tapped, you should expect to see this one at least in most green decks. Now similarly with the equipment creatures, we have something pretty revolutionary here. We have Shrine Creatures, so if you want to play a 5-color Shrine Commander deck, now you can do it, and you're going to have all of the functionality that you could possibly ask for. We get one in each color like we did before and in previous sets. We still only have like 17 total shrines, but those are just cards that are only shrines. Keep in mind, you can always play changelings, you can play enchantments that change creature types to shrine, so that you have more shrines for these triggers to go off. They're pretty powerful, and even though with all of these shrines you do have to pay 1 mana, what you're getting for it is insane. If you have a ton of shrines, it's definitely worth building up your board. These are all Goshintais. The first one here is Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty. At the beginning of your end step, as is the case with every one of these, you pay 1 mana, and when you do, you destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. Goshintai of Shared Purpose says at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 mana. If you do, you create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each shrine you control. And then Goshintai of Lost Wisdom says target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. So if you could imagine, if you just have 3 of these out there at the same time, X is going to be 3 for all of them. You're going to get 3 1/1s with Goshintai of Shared Purpose. Goshintai of Ancient Wars says it deals X damage to target player or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. Goshintai of Boundless Vigor says put a +1/+1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. So just have more of these shrines out there, play changelings, get more value. And this of course was necessary support for the longest time. I think people have been asking for a shrine-themed commander option. After all, back in 2020, we got Sanctum of All, a 5-color legendary shrine. This is on top of the other shrines that we got. We also got 1 of each color back in M21. And then of course, going back to the original Kamigawa, we have the Hondens. So it's fitting that we actually get a 5-color commander option this time around. We have Goshintai of Life's Origin. I love this commander option. It's brilliant because it recognizes that you're not just going to be playing a deck taking advantage of shrines, you have an enchantment backbone that's going to support it as well. And that first ability to bring back an enchantment straight to the battlefield from the graveyard is awesome. And that second ability, that trigger, just enables every other shrine that you have. The more shrines you have out there, the more value you're getting for all of these. Another strategy that's being brought back, and this time it's actually with commander support from the precon deck, we have the vehicles. Vehicles are somewhat controversial. If we're talking about a fantasy setting, most people don't want to see cars, they don't want to see helicopters and jets, but they are making a comeback here in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I don't think there's anything brand new that they're doing outside of the precon commander option that you get. It's just more support for people who really wanted to make a deeper vehicle deck. You have support here in Search Hacker Mech that actually benefits a deeper vehicle deck, because when it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So just more synergy with the growing artifact type. We do have some commander options here. Of course, we have an actual vehicle commander, but we have other options too. We have Greasefang, Okiba Boss. This one will help you bring back vehicles from your graveyard, which isn't always a priority in vehicle decks. We have Katori Pilot Prodigy, which does something fantastic for vehicles. Giving all of them a crew cost of 2 makes it super easy to crew up anything. And you're also giving them good keywords like Lifelink and Vigilance. A strategy that's making a return to no one's surprise is Ninjutsu. I mean, if you were to look at the original Kamigawa sets and guess what people were probably looking to build around for in Commander, it was likely the Ninjutsu cards, because there were only so many Ninjutsu options. Here you get more ninjas. We even get a green Ninjutsu, which isn't something we've had before. Silver Fur Master is a brilliant ninja lord, makes our ninjutsu abilities cost 1 less. And Thousand-Faced Shadow is a great copy ninja if you're attacking with multiple creatures. We get a little bit more to fool around with here. And you'll notice that with this set, we're bringing back the ability counters. So there's menace counters with Biting Palm Ninja, that's pretty sweet. I think the best card, however, one of the best options in this whole set is Satoru Umezawa, because you're not just reliant on other ninjutsu cards, you're making other creatures ninjas. You could give big creatures like Blightsteel Colossus ninjutsu, and if you're able to do that, it means you're probably attacking with an unblocked creature. If you cheat that creature into play, you're probably going to win. Wizards could have easily just repeated the same ninjutsu trick over and over again, where all we're doing is playing a ninja deck and nothing else. This is at least something new. And outside of that, we have to talk about some of the other commander options because we have some pretty sweet ones. Tameshi Reality Architect is bringing back a strategy that maybe not a lot of people know about. These moonfolk from the original Kamigawa sets focused on returning lands to your hand from the battlefield in order to get some type of benefit. With Tameshi, you actually have a pretty decent payoff. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. So if you can do this on your opponent's turns, you'll draw a card then as well. Since that ability only triggers once each turn, you do have to pay attention to that, but I think even if it's just once each turn, card draw, it's great. But we do have a second ability here of X and 1 white mana, so this is a white and blue commander option. You return a land you control to its owner's hand and return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You do that at sorcery speed. That's pretty sweet. This is going to be a solid commander option because you have the payoff in card draw and you have great late game recovery. Ishin Two Heavens is one I've already talked about. This commander option, I think it's fantastic. It's going to be pretty popular. Building a 3-color deck around attack triggers is also brand new. It's something people are going to love to experiment with. And Kodama of the West Tree is also bringing something new. A modified creature is any creature with an aura or an equipment on it. And this is a green commander option, so if you want to build around this one, green's not usually a fan of relying on auras and equipments, so having this be the focus of the deck is pretty cool. And whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. That is sweet. That's going to be pretty insane, which tells me you can build a deck that I don't think has ever really existed before. Equipments and auras with the focus of ramping through equipments and auras, that can get out of hand pretty quickly. We also have Hinata Dawn Crowned. This is another brand new strategy, focusing on spells with multiple targets. You get cost reduction for yours and your opponents cost more for each target that they have. Maybe it doesn't have a crazy payoff, but to me I think that's solid enough if you want to build a control deck. If you want to be a little bit more defensive, it's pretty sweet. And then we have Satsuki the Living Lore, another newer strategy. You get to build around exclusively saga cards. This creature's abilities are all about benefiting your sagas. You can tap her to put a lore counter on each saga you control. And when she dies, you choose up to 1, return target saga or enchantment creature you control to its owner's hand, or return target saga card from your graveyard to your hand. So all about playing those sagas, reusing those sagas. This one's going to be fun to build around. And I've already in depth talked about Tatsunari Toad Rider. Very weird having to build around this, but it does a little bit of everything. It's enchantment focused, it's combat focused, you even have some life gain that you can synergize with. Plus, it's also a human ninja with a bit of frog tribal thrown in there. So anyway, that's going to do it for the best of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the new set. Commander Void here signing off. I will see you all next time.